Here's a story about when Stephanie was born. Now, all three of my kids were born in Berlin when I was in the Army, but Stephanie's the only one that was born at a German hospital. See, in 1989, the Gulf War was going on, and a lot of the medical staff from the U.S. Army Hospital had been sent over to Saudi Arabia, where the main bulk of the U.S. forces were. And the hospital was only on a skeleton staff, and were only accepting active duty only patients, so any family members would have to go to the German hospital. So we had her at Krankenhaus Zehlendorf, which Krankenhaus is a German word for hospital, and Zehlendorf is our district where we lived, was Zehlendorf. And right off the bat, I can say it was culture shock, because the way the Germans do it is so much different from the way the Americans do it. And this might be kind of gross, but if you don't know it, but a lot of times when a woman's having a baby and she's pushing so hard, sometimes she'll crap. So the Germans, in order to kind of prevent this, want to give you an enema before you have the baby. And Sherry wasn't having none of that. And when they came around, she grabbed my arm and said, "Don't let them put that thing in my ass." So I had to tell them, "No, nine. She don't want that." And they were like, no, she don't want that. Now they gave her an epidural, which she didn't have the chance to have when she had Chris, because they were afraid it would slow down her labor if they did it to her then. But in this case, there was no fear about that. So they gave her the epidural, and it's a shot they put in the spine. Well, actually, it's a tube that they put in there, and it gives a little drip into the spine and helps deaden it and reduce the pain. And right off the bat, whoever her nurse was at first would open it up a little bit and let a little bit in, and she was feeling that the pain was going away and that it was helping. And she was happy with her results. And then the nurses went through a shift change, probably around midnight or 11:30, something like that. And the new nurse that came on grabbed her tube and just opened it wide open and let a whole lot in. And we figured this person's a medical professional, she knows what she's doing, but it was probably too much, and Sherry started going numb. She couldn't feel her legs, she couldn't feel her lower body, and she started freaking out. And she was not happy with that. She was crying about that. And finally Stephanie came a little after midnight, I think. And Sherry said, "I've been here all day, I'm hungry, I want something to eat." And I said, "Well, there's nothing open at this time of night except maybe the Imbus stand." The Imbus is like a little Turkish fast food place, if you want to call it that. There's one on every corner, and they have doner kebabs and other kind of, they got lamb and other kinds of meats, and other kinds of Middle Eastern food, I guess, I don't know. So I went across the road and found an Imbus, and I got me and her each a doner kebab. It had lamb in there, like sauce and lettuce and onions and stuff in there. And I came back with that, and I started eating mine, and Sherry was like, "God, this tastes so good, this smells so good." And then after 2 bites, she was like, "It's coming up," and she ralphed everywhere, all over the floor. The one thing that the Germans do that's different is, in the American hospital, if it's your baby, then you pretty much keep the baby, and they come and get it every once in a while and weigh it and check certain things. But for the most part, it stays with the mom. But in the German hospital, in the evening, the nurse comes and gets the baby and brings it up to a nursery, and it stays there all night so the mom can sleep. Plus, they expect you to stay there for at least 3 days, maybe even a week. And after 2 days, Sherry was going stir crazy. She was like, "We got to get out of here and go home. This is, ridiculous." And of course, the Germans were like, "You want to go home early? Why would you want to go home early?" Well, we're tired of these four walls, I guess. So anyway, that's the reason why Stephanie has a dual citizenship and my other two kids don't. And we also think that might be why her style and personality are like, her two mismatched color socks and stuff like that, kind of things that Germans would do.